Well, hello there, kindergartners and first graders, second graders. It's story time again at our school away from school. And I went rummaging around on my bookshelves at home and I brought in some books. And what I want to read for you today is another Dr. Seuss book. Did I ever tell you how lucky you are? I got to tell you, it's so weird doing this in front of the camera because when my brain is thinking left, the image goes right in the picture. And when I think in my brain I want it to go up, it actually, it actually goes up. Anyhow, it's confusing. Maybe it's because it's Friday. Did I ever tell you how lucky you are? By Dr. Seuss. When I was quite young and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dries, and he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, I haven't forgotten yet. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more, ever so much more, muchly, much more unlucky than you. Be glad you don't work on the Bungle Bung Bridge that they're building across Boober Bay at Boom Bridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful, a whole heaping lot, for the places and people. You're lucky you're not. Just suppose, for example, you live in Gazate and got caught in that traffic on Zate Highway 8. Or suppose, for instance, you lived in Gazaire with your bedroom up there and your bathroom up there. Suppose, just suppose, your poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his thromdembulator apart. He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the glick or the gore fits the shrink of the snucks of the snore. Yes, Ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbie Hart, who has taken his thromdembulator apart. Think they work you too hard. Think of poor Allie Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quick growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster it grows, and all that his stingy old uncle will pay for his showing that the mower around in that hay is the pitifulest pay of 2 duklas a day, and all he can't live on such pitifulest pay. He has to paint flagpoles on Sunday and grooves. How lucky you are! You don't live in his shoes. Seuss. And poor Mr. Bix, every morning at 6, poor Mr. Bix has his orphan to fix. It doesn't seem fair, it just doesn't seem right, but his orphan just seems to go schlump every night. It schlumps in a heap, sadly needing repair, but fixes it due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unschlump it, and then the night air comes back and it schlumps once again. So don't you feel blue, don't get down in your dumps. You're lucky you don't have a orphan that schlumps. And while we're at it, consider the schlots, the crumple-horned, web-footed, green-bearded schlots, whose tail is entailed with unsolvable knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. And you're lucky indeed you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whammel. A whammel, you know, is sort of a saddle held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And boy, if your old whammel faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, ducky, you're gonna get like a boos. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-dotter, he has to cross T's and he has to dot I's, and an I and a T factory out in Van Nuys. Oh, the jobs people work at. Out west near Hotch, there's a Hotcher bee watcher. His job is to watch, is to keep both his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched, but in spite of his watch, the bee didn't work any harder. Not ma watch. So then somebody said, your old bee watching man just isn't bee watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another watcher. The thing that we need is a bee watcher. Well, now the bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well, so another watcher had to come in as a watcher. And today all the watchers who live in watch are watching on watching the watcher. Who's watching that bee? You're not a watcher. You're lucky, you see. And how fortunate you're not a Professor DeBreeze, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. And think of the poor puffing Pugelhorn players who have to parade down the Pugelhorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Pooh-Boken. It's awful how often their pugels get broken. And oh, just suppose you were Harry Hadow. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. He thinks that perhaps something's wrong with his giz, and I think that, by golly, there probably is. And the brothers Bazoo, the poor brothers Bazoo, suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, ducky, some people are muchly, oh ever so muchly more unlucky than you. And suppose you lived in that forest in France where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants, but your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy, and you ought to be shouting, "How lucky am I?" And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish you're not Farmer Flackenberg's 17th radish. And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down. And you're so lucky you're not a left sock left behind by mistake in Cravens of Crock. Thank goodness for all of the things that you're not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. That's why I say, Ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, oh, ever so much, so much more unlucky than you. Well, that's our story for today. All the unlucky stories about all of Dr. Seuss's amazing characters. You all have a really nice weekend. Get out, enjoy a little bit of the nice weather we're going to have, but remember, safe distances and be good. Be kind to each other, okay? And we'll see you again next week.